Hello and welcome back. And today I would like to talk about energy again. It feels quite poignant to do so as we start to move into Aries season, and we have spring in the UK, and we're moving into this new season, this new energy. And it just feels like there's something really powerful shifting right now after quite a few weeks of quite challenging, quite dense energy. It feels like we're moving out of what's felt like a kind of initiation phase over the last few weeks. And you may have found yourself facing this within your own life too. I know I have. Really deep layers of just quite subtle, not like really kind of catastrophic, but does any of this even matter? That kind of non-dual, what's the point? Do I matter? Does my voice matter? Does what I feel passionate about in the world, is there any point to it? Does it have an impact? And I just wanted to talk about that today, as it's come up quite a few times within client sessions, but also in my own life quite subtly. And I just thought it'd be relevant to talk about it today. So if you felt any of that kind of energy, I just want to say that it's actually a very normal part of the awakening journey. It's a very normal part of the kind of waves and crest cycle of energy and how that works. And as we expand into higher awareness, and that's happening quicker and quicker now, we begin to see beyond the illusion, and there can be moments along that journey where things can feel a little bit meaningless, and there can be kind of a bit of a flat energy, not the excitement or the passion to move forward in any direction. And you start to look at your life, maybe your work, your relationships, and you think, what's the point? Yes, I know that I'm an infinite being having a human experience, but it all just feels a little bit meaningless. It's kind of lost the juice in it, if you like. But it's not the end point. I see this as a threshold space. And what we've been doing, whether you've been aware of it consciously or not, I know that I've been aware of this and kind of watching this happen within my own psyche, is that we've been moving through some really deep layers that have really been ingrained in, possibly ancestral, past life, but very, very deep ones. All the ones where you thought, I've healed this, why is that popping up again? But they could have been there for lifetimes, old beliefs, old identities. And in a client session yesterday, this came up quite strongly. There was a part of them that they described as being dark and quite shadowy, and had quite a limited way of looking at the world, was quite negative, was, the part was all, could easily drop into depression. And this client was holding that version at a distance, almost like it was something separate to them, not wanting to kind of integrate that part in. But as we went deeper, it became really obvious that those parts are not separate, and there are aspects of us that are still holding stories, and the stories haven't yet fully been seen, felt, or heard. And until they fully are, and we can fully integrate that part in, they just keep looping to get to your attention, showing up in behaviours, in patterns, in self-sabotage. Not because something is wrong with you, or that you've made a mistake, or you're on the wrong path. It's just because something within you is just asking to be loved and come back into wholeness. So this past phase, you may have also been feeling some intensity, and it's been, again, a deepening of meeting those parts and just kind of seeing those really ingrained, deeply rooted patterns that still surface despite doing so much work. So I know with myself, it's been a case of observing them, but not identifying as them, and just letting them kind of be seen, heard, and valued, and let them kind of move through. So not by bypassing them and not by pushing them away, but just really meeting them, turning towards them rather than resisting and moving away. And again, energy, the emotion that comes up, energy, emotion just needs to be felt, allowing it to move through the body. And this brings those fragmented off parts back into wholeness, and we can move forward as a unified whole into this next season of our life. So we're now moving into a completely different energy. I can really feel it today. It feels like things have massively shifted as we start to move into Aries season. We've obviously got a new moon coming up in a couple of days, and there is real forward momentum. I can feel that within my own body. It's a spark, there's a propulsion forward, reignited passion for things that we are just naturally interested in. And it's like we've been doing all of this deep inner work beneath the surface, and now we're standing at the edge of a new chapter, a sort of ready to turn the page onto a brand new chapter. And this next phase is not going to be about overthinking. The mind, as we move further into this awakening journey, we're letting the mind be released from a lot of the responsibility that we've given it in the past. We've always been taught that we can only solve problems with the mind. We try to solve emotional problems with the mind. We, can really give the mind all the jobs to do, when actually it's not there to do that. It's only there for logical problem solvings in the moment. It's not there to figure everything out for you, and it's not there to make sure everything is completely in place before you take a step forward. We are now being asked to move more fully into the heart and to trust the wisdom of the heart. And as we've talked about before, the heart holds a very different kind of intelligence, and you'll feel it in your body. So if you just take a moment now and just take a deep breath in, and then just visualize dropping from your mind, your awareness from your mind, drop into your heart space, into that space in your chest. And just instantly tune into that peace that is always there, that calmness, that clarity. You can really feel it in your body. And when we start to operate more from this space, our intuition really does start to work much more effectively, because we will notice that when something doesn't feel right, the body has a contracting feeling to it, a kind of pulling inwards. It feels maybe a bit restrictive, a bit heavy. That's your no. But when something is aligned, even if it feels a bit scary, because obviously fear and excitement are quite close on how they feel, but there will be an expansion. That's the difference between something that's a genuine fear and something that's, I'm not sure because that pushes me out of my comfort zone, but it's exciting. The body has an expansion and a pull towards, a pull forward, a sense that something is opening. And that's your yes. So right now, many of you might be being called towards something that might not make logical sense. It might be something that you've had on the back burner, that you've loved to do, but you've not had the right kind of environment or the right amount of money or whatever it is to do. Maybe it's a course, maybe it's doing something creative, maybe it's a new career, a new business, maybe it's starting a new channel. It might just be a new path or a new way of being, but it's a new version of yourself that's being birthed, and it might feel unfamiliar. It might feel a bit uncomfortable, but you will sense that pull forward, and that's your soul communicating with you. And we're just becoming more and more attuned with these inner energies that we sense, and we're just becoming more practiced in discerning what is our soul speaking and what is our ego. So as we move out of these old loops, the ones that have just been really kind of deeply ingrained in, the self-doubt layers, the self-sabotage, the patterns that kept us small, we move into a more open, connected and alive way of being. And this invites us to have a deeper engagement with life. So yes, we now understand that we are an infinite being having a human experience, and we've gone through, well, if that's the case, what's the point? Now we're like, wow, we're waking up whilst we're incarnated in this body, and that's exciting. We can now play without all of the fears and beliefs in the way of us just expressing ourselves in a really authentic way. Because on one level there is no point, but on another level that is the point. We are here to experience, to create, to feel, to love, to be in joy, to live, and really to, squeeze all the juice out of that life. And now the energies are really supporting this. We can just allow ourselves to soften and become a little bit more vulnerable, and just to start to follow what genuinely lights us up. What do we feel drawn to do? What would really engage our inner child? What can we do that's got a playful, joyful, blissful energy? And when we start to do that, that's when things begin to shift. And that's when life starts to meet us again. So if you're feeling this right now, if you're standing on the edge, you're about to turn that page onto the new chapter, you're feeling that pull forward, just trust it. Just go with that flow. Just take that next step, even if it scares you a little bit. It's just such an exciting time to be living and creating, and as we do this individually, as I've said before, we begin to create the new earth from this heart-led space, because we are heart-based beings. And I'd love to know if anybody is resonating with this. What are you being called? What's your heart calling you towards right now? What is that pull for you? And just let me know in the comments. And I'd also love to know where you're tuning in from. It's really nice to see people from different countries, and to know that, yeah, we're not alone. We're all in this together. We're one big family, kind of moving forward together, supporting each other, and that feels amazing. So thank you once again for listening, and I will see you in the next one.